Hey there. So this is a story from my time at school, and a lot of my stories in general, I have told a couple times before I tell them to camera, but this one is actually kind of a new story. Not in that it's like a new thing that happened, because like I said, it came from my time at school, but I kind of suppressed a lot of my thought about school. I didn't really want to think about it, didn't want to talk about it, because it wasn't very pleasant, and I kind of was worried that it would be kind of the only thing people heard about when they talked to me. Kind of like people who only talk about work. And so I kind of just pushed this to the back of my mind, and then recently something came up where someone mentioned part of the story, and then it all kind of came flooding back, and how I experienced the story was all kind of segmented. And so this video is the first time I've kind of put all the pieces together as one big story. So anyway, I hope you enjoy, and forgive the sort of roughness of the story, because it's the first time I've told the story, so it's kind of a little janky, I guess. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to another tale from a liberal arts campus. Or should I say a saga, because this is many stories that kind of all compress into one. It all starts when I was playing Magic with a friend. This girl came up to us to talk to my friend. So she was like your kind of stereotypical angry feminist aesthetic. She had buzzed short hair, and it was dyed some color like purple or green. And she would come through the lounge that we would play in to get back to her dorm as a shortcut from where she went to class. So she would stop by and talk. So the first time she did this, she had this righteous indignation where she had this, she was like, "You wouldn't believe what just happened." So the story goes, her roommate asked the guy that she was seeing if he knew her roommate, which was the person telling the story. He responded, "Oh, that blue hair." And at the time, I'd never heard that term before. Because to me, blue hair was always like just another color you would dye your hair. Like, you'd see people at like metal shows that would do that. Girls, always girls, you know. But it didn't really mean anything to me. Meanwhile, my friend has heard the term, and he's like internally like, but outwardly he's like, "Oh, yeah, oh no, I've heard that term. Refers to some people on the left. Yeah, I think it's a general term, catch-all term for that." Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, can you believe that?" And he's like, "Oh wow, yeah, ooh, oh no." So a little background, I guess. The guy who was referring to the blue hair as a blue hair was a freshman, and it was this like incoming freshman class that was just completely unafraid to just stick it to the blue hairs, for lack of a better term. And the girl he was sleeping with was a sophomore or a junior or something, which I guess is somewhat uncommon because people tend to date amongst their own grade, but you know, it's college. So the blue hair is pissed about this, but she's like, "Well, she swears it's just physical, and I would never want to get in the way of that." And me, I'm like, wait, I laughed because I was like, "Oh, don't you mean the opposite?" Like, if it was, and she stares at me like blankly, like she doesn't understand what I could be, you know, confused about. Because from her perspective, it's much better to be having some hedonistic relationship that has no commitment rather than something that's monogamous, because according to her, monogamy evil, right? And you'll kind of see that later in the story. So that's episode 1. That is the first interaction. That's like my entry point into this saga that was going on behind the scenes. So as I said, this girl would pass by us while we're playing Magic, on the days that we played Magic. And so my friend flags her down on the following time that we see her. And then he's like, "Oh, how about that situation? Did it ever resolve?" And he's so charismatic, I thought he was genuinely concerned. But then later he was like, "Oh no, I just kind of wanted to..." She was like, "Oh no, I met him and he said, 'Hey, blue hair.' Can you believe that?" So then it kind of goes on. So that's like episode 2, right? Then it kind of goes on silently for a while. We don't ask about it again. As I'm coming into the building, there's this guy leaving who I don't recognize. And this guy is like He's kind of nondescript, but in another way, it's kind of like the most infuriating kind of conservative looking dude. He's like, the guy was he was like pretty handsome, and he had like a big jaw. He had that hairstyle. I don't know what the name is because I don't really know hairstyles, but I know people refer to it as Nazi hair, and I know she referred to it as Nazi hair. So I don't know at the time, but that's the guy, right? Super handsome, confident, friendly guy. I hold the door open, and I was like, oh, I had this like knee-jerk reaction, like, oh shit, I shouldn't have held open the door because I'm at a liberal arts campus. He might think that I'm being sexist somehow, even though he's a man. And so I start to like pull my hand away from the door. So I move to the side for this guy. He makes really confident eye contact with me, really friendly, like nods and goes, "Good man." Not like a British like good man, or not like a, you know, kind of old guy good man, but like a really like authentic, "You're a good man," in like 2 words. He goes right out of the building, doesn't stop to talk or anything. And he was like super friendly as though I knew him, but I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. But I was left with this thought, like, I kind of like to be like that guy. Like he was like confident and handsome, and I was like, yeah, you know what? And it put me in a good mood seeing a guy like that, and I was like, yeah, I got to be like that guy. So then I go down into the lounge, and my friend is already talking to the blue hair, and she's complaining about stuff, and like it's stuff that's like it's one of those things where it was such weird stuff that it didn't really click what they were talking about until later. So I come in and I'm like, oh, it's the blue hair girl. I know what I'll do. I'll try to relate to her. And so I'll compliment this guy because that's kind of gay, right? And so maybe I can, you know, I can be friendly with her because, you know, if my friend is friends with her, maybe she's not so bad. And so I was like, oh, I just saw this really handsome guy, you know? And then I had to stop myself from saying no homo because, like, oh, that's not good. You know, maybe I'll just roll with it, like I'm like pretend like I'm gay. I'm like, yeah, really handsome, put me in a really good mood. He's just this, and I describe him. He's got like light brown hair, like combed over, the sides shaved. And then she rolls her eyes, like super pissed at my description, and goes, I guess he's done warming up. Now he's going to the gym, and like rolls her eyes super hard at the gym, like, fuck. How dare he? What she was saying when I went in the room was like sort of standard weirdo leftist thing, where she was like talking about how she doesn't think that people should be uncomfortable being in the room while other people are having sex, and how she's totally not, but she needs to get her like studying done. And so it all the gears between me and my friend, we all like clicked all the gears into place, and we were like, so she was just sexiled so her roommate and that conservative guy could have sex as his cardio warm-up before the gym. And I know the reason she was going on about how she's not uncomfortable with other people having sex in front of her is because she was trying to alpha out that guy, because she's a lesbian, who also on another occasion said very clearly, she was like, oh, you know, I'm into girls, but she's not my type, right, to her, about her roommate. Now this is pure conjecture, but conjecture with me if you will. I think this blue hair lesbian may have been cucked by a super conservative Chad, just going like, yes, like me, just like making eye contact with her, and then she was like, I can't take this, and then like left. I don't know that for sure, but it was just a really funny thing we kept on like talking about and joking about that that's what happened. But either way, her efforts to convince her roommate to leave this guy because of his political affiliation was just completely not happening. Now, I think that this guy may have been not conservative either. I think he may have just been going around telling people he was a fascist, which is like turning it up to 11 to piss off this blue hair. It was like, because she was so fucking mad. Some time had passed, and I had a class with her, and I held open the door, and I was like, oh, fuck, I held open a door again. She's gonna be pissed. She's such a blue hair. And then I was like, hey. And then I couldn't remember what the fuck her name was. I still don't remember. It's just this blue hair chick. So I go, Happy Valentine's Day, because it was Valentine's Day. And then she goes, thanks. And then really quick is like, she's like, Happy Love Bombing Day. Like snaps back at me. And like not like angry, but she was like really insistent to like, you know, change what people said on that day. So if you're not familiar, love bombing is the idea, at least how it was taught to me at school, is that men would be nice to girls so that they would stay with them, is like love bombing, where you're nice to your girlfriend so that it'll be a girlfriend and not just a girl you sleep with. So it's like a way of enforcing evil monogamy, which is a little ridiculous, which is why I laughed after she said it. Also, not a great move, but she took it like, oh, he agrees with me, he's like on my side. And I was like, yeah, love bombing day. I'm in class with her. The teacher asks her opinion on something, and she comes right out of the gate fighting, like super aggressive, like she just lost an argument about this. But what the teacher asked her about had nothing to do with what she said, and that's why I can't remember what the teacher said, because it was so far off the rails. So she just jumps out of the gate fighting and goes, all women should get vibrators so that they're not dependent on men. I just fucking know that she just got out of having an argument with her roommate, like, you should leave this guy and you should buy a vibrator instead because he's a fascist. All I heard when she said that was, his fascist dick defies all technology! Ah! Science cannot contain his conservative being! So then after class, I had to talk to the professor about something, and then I'm leaving after she did, and she's talking to one of her friends outside of the building, and she's saying her thing where she's like, so she swears it's just physical, and you know what I say? I say be empowered, but just keep in mind that this guy really isn't right for you. And then I just keep on walking by. Now again, all I can hear when she says that is, his fascist dick is unstoppable! No! So the final episode in the saga is when I ended up eating with her and a group of people at the meal hall. So we were all sitting around a big table, and she's bitching about this guy again. And her roommate doesn't want to sit with her. And she mentioned that at the start. She's like, oh, she's sitting with her friends. Because someone asked about her roommate, because they like her roommate. Now, her roommate is apparently going to sit with her own friends from class or whatever. I kind of get the feeling like her roommate wants less and less to do with her because she's being slowly indoctrinated by the unstoppable peen of fascism. Now, she's talking about how she doesn't like her boyfriend and how her roommate deserves better and he's not right for her. And so I ask, oh, does he not treat her like a girlfriend? Is he just kind of sleeping around? What's the deal? Why don't you like him? And she goes, no, he's obsessed with monogamy. I'm immediately like, is that bad? Is that not how a girlfriend-boyfriend thing happens? I think in reality, she doesn't want her to have a boyfriend. I think she wants her to be sleeping around and being promiscuous. And this girl doesn't want that for herself. But in the blue hair's opinion, she doesn't know any better because she's been like indoctrinated or whatever to be happy in a certain way, and she should retrain her brain to be happy in another way. If you have someone like that in your life, you need to kick them out of your life, because if someone doesn't want you to be happy, you want to be happy. You should want to be happy. They're not going to help you be happy. Which is eventually what this roommate did. Now, the blue hair then adds, he's got a monogamy fetish. And she didn't say it as a joke, but I laughed super hard. And then she laughed super hard because she thought that we're like on the same page. And then I was like half confused. I said the last thing that I said to this girl, which was, well, at least he doesn't treat her like a cum dumpster. And you may not know this, but that is not a common word in the vernacular, in the lexicon of people on the left. And so she instantly realized that I was not like her. And the look of hate in her eyes was immense. She glared at me like she wanted to fucking hit me. Like she wanted to kill me because she felt betrayed. Even though I barely knew this girl, she was like, oh, he's one of them. And anyway, the story has a happy ending. The school wanted to do away with non-co-ed dorms. Like, they went from having all-girl dorms and all-boy dorms to girl floor, boy floor, girl floor, to just both on each floor, like alternating, like girl room, boy room, girl room, boy room. And then the progression was having girls and boys in the same room as long as they both consented to it. And like, ideally that's for gay people and like lesbians to get along in their own rooms, or just for like some hedonistic garbage that the school wants you to get into. However, this loving couple used it to be lovey-dovey all the time, to the great ire of blue hairs everywhere. Anyway, thank you for listening to my tale. That was the saga of the blue hair and the fascist peen. The unstoppable. She just couldn't resist and was just slowly indoctrinated by it. So, I hope you enjoyed that video. I have another thing to talk about, and that is Horizon Quest. Go back it now. The link will be in the description, so you don't have to try and scan this QR code. But if you can, that's quite skilled of you. Anyway, yeah, it's a fantasy comic that I wrote with my girlfriend, and as well as my upcoming novel, Slayer in the Wide Valley. They're both good. I'm a little biased because I wrote them, but you know, you can trust me.